everyone, this is Debbie from Project 39 Mini Albums. A little while ago, I picked up Coco Paradise from Photoplay at Country Craft Creations. I was there for a retreat and picked up some paper so I could work on it. I wanted to do something a little different. I've been making mini albums and a couple of dimensional projects, but I decided I wanted a set of cards. I have a couple of friends who are retiring, and it's always nice to have cards on hand. And I decided that I would make some that are somewhat generic and I could just write things inside. So I also made a box to put the cards in. So this tutorial is going to show you how I did the cards and how I made the box. So we're going to get started making the cards and then the boxes at the end. So let's get started. All right, so let me go over some preliminary things. I used the Coco Paradise from Photoplay. I used the 12 by 12 pad, and I used the cardstock ephemera. I didn't use a lot of that, so you might be able to substitute it, but it is a nice addition. And as I'm looking at this cover, I'm thinking I might cut some of these items so I have an extra flamingo and the turtle. I may. We'll see as we go. I've got the cards cut, but not decorated. The other thing is the cards are all 5 by 7s. When I'm making specialty cards, these are the real special ones that you want to see propped up on the mantelpiece or on the kitchen refrigerator, I will use 5 by 7. If it's a quick, just a note to say thanks or just a note or a birthday card for a kid, I'll do 4.5. I'm sorry, 4.25 by 5.5. But for these special ones, I'm doing 5 by 7. Plus, it gives you a lot of room to play. I also use some dies. One of the die sets is this arch set. I got it in a retreat box from Country Craft Creations. I also used a square, a couple of circles, just a couple of regular dies. If you don't have them, you could probably use a punch. You can just cut a square. You don't need the dies for it. I also am going to do 2 cards in each design. One is going to be flat, so it's easy for mailing, and one I'm going to do on dimensionals. So for this first card, I've cut out of this paper. This is the Sweet Escape paper, and it's a real pretty yellowish green. I cut 2 card fronts, and they measure, let me see the exact measurement, 4 7/8 by 6 7/8, so just the smallest border. Now I did cut an arch out of these because we're going to be covering it, so I didn't mind cutting the arch out of that. So let me go ahead and adhere these on. And I'm just going to make sure they're as straight as possible. There's going to be a very slight border. You'll just see about a 1/16 of an inch border on all 4 sides. Oh, the other thing I wanted to tell you is I am using the Designer Dries Clear adhesive from the Art Glitter Institute. I will refer to it as Art Glitter Glue, but there is no glitter involved. I suppose you could use this side, but I just wanted to have some of this. Maybe it's a chartreuse screen peeking out. So I will put this one on as well. It's a pretty card base. I really should have more of it showing, but for the next layer, I have this. This is from the it's called Let's Get Away. And I liked this as the background. It just provides a good amount of contrast. Now, if you wanted to, you could cut this a little bit smaller, but this one I cut 4 5/8 by 6 5/8. I don't think there is a top and a bottom with this. although I sort of like that. So now there will be 1/8 of an inch border all around the sides on here. All right, so I cut one of the flamingos and I used my arch die. Nope, it didn't come from that one. It came from this one, which is Coastal Dreams. I cut the arch out of there, and then the next one will be the sea turtle. So I go ahead and center it a little more to the top than the bottom, and I'll adhere that. So this one's going to be the one that's more or less flat. The other one will have dimension. I already had some score tape on that arch when I cut it out. I'll just add it around my flamingo. A couple of items from that ephemera kit. The little ticket stub I did put on some white cardstock to have it stand out a little bit, and I made a little nest of twine, and I put that below it just to add a little texture, and there we go with that card. Okay, so I really wasn't planning on doing this for the second one, but I made it a shaker card. I had the arch, so I just cut out a little bit of acetate, a little smaller than the arch, and I glued it on. Hardest part is not getting glue on the acetate. I always do. And then I had another arch cut out of that chartreuse green paper. So I put that on top so you don't see the edge of the acetate. I already had put some double-sided, real thin, like 1/8 of an inch foam strips on the back. I'll glue this piece. I just wanted a base to put everything on so it all would line up. Those arch dies are fabulous. So I glue on my turtle. Here's some shaker pieces. It's just a conglomeration of things I've had in my stash. And then I peel off the backing of that 1/8 of an inch tape, which is wonderful for going around curves. Very carefully put it on. I'm really careful that I don't get any of the shaker pieces on the tape. And then I shake it a few times because why not? And then add a couple of other things from the ephemera. And then I'm looking in the sticker sheet to add just another little element. Now I had to add some dimensionals just so it would uh, be at the same level as the acetate window. And then I add a little glue to this little element that again was from the ephemera. Here's the sticker, but I decided I don't want to put the sticker straight on. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a scallop punch and punch it out. Add the sticker on top of it. Just have a border around it. And then I'll add a couple of pieces of the foam dimensional and then put this on the card. On the one, I added some pearls for some dimensions. On the other, I added some of those shaker pieces. I'll show you the close-up so you can take a look at the finished cards. So those are the first two cards that I have. Same card design, but they really look totally different. All right, let's continue with another card. So this one I used the Paradise found paper. It's the opposite side of that. It has these gorgeous palm tree shapes on it. So I will put that down. This was cut 1/4 of an inch smaller. So it's 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, just so there's a little wider gap. Now, I guess we could have done this side, but that's okay. But I love this collage look of the paper with the palm trees. Okay, and then what I have is another piece. This one is, you know what, I don't know what this one's called because I've already cut so much into it. It is called the Tropical Floral. It's the one with the sea turtles on back. And the paper itself is 3 3/4 by 5. And I'm going to adhere this onto a white cardstock base that is 4 by 5 1/4. So there is a nice gap. And again, I'm going to have it up a little bit so it'll be a 1/2 inch from the sides and top, and about 3/4 of an inch. Let me see again. No, about 1 1/4 inches from the bottom. And then to add to that, so I've cut a couple of things. So for this one, this was one of the cut aparts on, I never remember what page they're on. No, not that one. On the back of this page. I don't have any more to show you. So anyhow, it was one of the cut aparts. It was 3 by 4. I cut it down to about 2 1/4 by 2 7/8, and I'll back that onto a piece of white cardstock that's just 1/4 of an inch bigger than that. And so that'll go in the corner. And then I've got this piece of, it was from the ephemera. I had some yellow, and you can see my fingers are dyed because I tried to add a little green to this yellow tag, or yellow baker's twine, just so it blended a little bit more. So that'll go like that. And I don't like things facing away, so that's why I really feel like it needs to go here. Actually, if I switch and go like this. So this will go down first. Put it down and have it going at an angle. I'll tie that, maybe I want a bow. Now I'll just double knot it. And then Paradise is the destination. And then this, all the details. And I'll put something on top of that. Yeah, nothing from there. Uh, okay, so we will add all the details. We will add that white hibiscus and then the pink hibiscus. Because I don't want it to say all the details, because then you don't read that. So we have that. And I'll add some gems to it in just a little bit. I'll put them on here. All right, so there's that one. Let me show you the one that we're going to use some dimensionals on. So here's the base. Now I'm going to, this is the same size as the other one. Love how this rosy color is on there. All right, and then this we're going to put up here. Now, I know at Country Craft Creation they sell a roll of So I added some dimensionals to the second layer and put that on the card, added a couple more embellishments, and I really like how this card came out. I think the colors are fabulous, and it's just a fun all-purpose card. Adventure Awaits would be good for birthday, retirement, as I said, or someone who's going to go travel. There we go. And then perhaps you can see where I put the pearls. So that is the next two cards done. All right, so I'm using this Tropical Leaves print for one, but the other one I'm going to turn over and use the side with the sea turtles. I just thought those sea turtles are a lot of fun. So in this card, I'm making a longer piece. This is 3 inches by 5 inches, and this smaller piece is 2.5 by 4 7/8. I'm sorry, 4 3/4. And then I had this one sort of border strip left over from a piece, and I'm just going to apply that and put that on the top of the card. So the sea turtles will go on the Tropical Leaves card. The one with the background of the sea turtles, I'm going to do similar. I do have a scallop circle, and I put the pink circle down. So this one, I have a problem in that border. I really wanted to use it, but it's not long enough. So I cut everything down so everything would fit. I think I probably went with like 4 1/4, and then the white strip would be 4.5. So we will have the Tropical Leaves showing, and that border strip, which is smaller, will go on the side. Okay, and then I'm trying to decide if I'm going to put the scallop circle on dimensionals and ended up not. And then I was toying with the idea, should I have used the pink side or the blue side? So I eventually put it down. So this little turtle cutout, I cut out from the cover sheet, and I'm going to glue this onto the center circle. These cards are going to be a little bit different. I mean, the card sketch, if you would call it that, is sort of the same. So then there was a sticker of a turtle, so I used one of the stickers down on the bottom of the card. And for both of the sentiments, they came from stickers from the sticker sheet. The Adventure Awaits I cut in two, so Adventure goes up on top, and then Awaits goes down to the side. And I still wanted something else on here, so I was looking at the sticker sheet and simply took a tropical leaf and put it in the corner of that circle. And here are close-ups of those two cards. All right, we have two different starts. Well, they're similar, and the beauty of doing ones that are similar, but you switch the paper or you use a different paper, whatever, is you don't have to rethink a design. So this is sort of tone on tone, this seashell one. It's obviously the back of the flamingo paper. This is cut just 1/8 of an inch smaller than the 5x7 card base. So it's 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. So once I get the uh, bases on, then I take some cut aparts and I put white cardstock that's 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 below the 3x4 cards. And then I have a strip on the bottom. It's just about 1 1/8 inches, 1 1/4 inches. And it is the whole length of the card, so I have to trim a little bit of it off. I liked having a little bit of that on the bottom just to add just some more dimension and texture to the card. All right, so this one, you saw that this was from the sticker sheet, that was from the sticker sheet. I put this on some cardstock. I popped this part up. The only embellishment is I put a little gem on the head where the butterfly would be, and that one's done. I didn't pop up a lot. That's the only thing popped up. I added a couple of enamel dots here. That's from the sticker sheet. That's from the sticker sheet. And that's done just like that. Of course, if you didn't want this for retirement, you could inside put hello, happy birthday, This one, happy retirement inside, it would just give you room for a handwritten note. So those are those two. These are more generic and you really could use them for anything, but I like them. All right, let's start assembling the next cards. So this, of course, was just from the back of this paper, and the orientation of this, it's not important. It's just to put on some color and some texture. This is 1/4 of an inch smaller, so there's an even border. This was from this other collaged paper. I love some of this on here. I still have another piece, so I might be able to make more cards with it. It needs to go this way. And the only reason is because there's writing on here, and I want that, the proper orientation. So there we go with that. All right, so now I used a square with a it's a stitched square, and it's about 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I cut about a 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 white square out of cardstock for this one. This one's not going to have the layers on it, so I am just going to glue this onto here. About 3/4 of an inch from the top, 1/2 an inch from the sides, about 2 inches top and bottom. I'm not going to add this yet, but what I'm going to do, so I cut this strip. Oops, this is about 7/8 of an inch by 4 3/8. I'm going to glue this onto here, but I'm going to have room on the left-hand side. And I'll do the same for this. On this one, I already have that was on the paper, so I'm going to leave that on. So the size is just about the same. All right, I'm going to grab my sticker sheet. Just make sure there's enough of a contrast. There's there. Okay, it's a pink flower. Now I'm going to take my hole punch, punch a hole right in the center of the flower. I'm using a smaller hole. And right in the center of the heart here. And I'm going to tie something to that. But what I'm going to do first is take some of these leaves and I'm going to back some onto cardstock. Some I'm going to use some of the sticker remover. And I'm going to get about 3 for each of those. So let me get that together. So I peeled 4 stickers from the sticker sheet. I put some dimensionals on and I'm going to add some powder around that. I also fussy cut 2 of those leaves you see over to the left-hand side that I don't have to worry about the sticky stuff. So I'm going to put 3 on one card and 3 on the other, just trying to figure out the best placement of everything. And I know some of this is going to show because I'm going to put that sentiment right on top of my stickers and leaves. And then I tie a little knot. I was going to knot it into this hole. I decided I'm just going to glue it on top. So I had glue into that hole, made sure there was something underneath it so that glue wouldn't just drop through. Come on, show what we're doing. There we go. Show your work, Debbie. All right, so anyhow, I tied a little bow to the side, and I'm still messing around trying to figure out placement of everything. But once I do, I'm pretty happy with it. Peel off the dimensionals on the sentiment and just stick everything up there. I want to make sure, because some of those leaves are a little higher than the others. They're very dimensional. All right, do the same for the other one. So here, as you can see, I started with dimensionals on this square piece. And so some of the stickers will be flat to the paper, some will be popped up with one dimensional, some will be popped up with a second layer of dimensional. So that's what I do for these cards, and I'll show you the finished card in just a second. So what do you think? Could these be birthday cards or retirement cards? I think they could be both. All right, now we're going to make the box to hold the cards in. This is 8.5 by 11. I'll grab my scoreboard, even though I've already scored it. But with the 11-inch side at the top, we're going to score it at 1.5, at 9, and at 10.5. Then we'll rotate it and score it at 1.5 and 7. All right, we'll put that aside. And now this piece is 8.5 by 10. I'm going to score it at 1.5 with the 10-inch side at the top, 1.5 and 9. Rotate it and score it at 1.5 and 7. Of course, you can stop and start this to make sure you have the measurements right. All right, I'm taking my scissors. I'm going to do some cuts. I'm not going to fold and burnish till after I do the cuts, then I'm going to put paper on it, and then we're going to put it together. So for the 10 by 8.5, with the shorter tab at the top, at the bottom, we have an X created by the score line. We're going to go from that inside one right up to that first score line. Just cut right on the score line. And then here at the top, we're going to go across to that score line. And I'm going to slightly bevel. I'm going to just go just a little bit to the side, to the right side of the score line here. I'm going to go to the left side and go to where those two score lines meet. And here I'm going to go across. So I'll put this down so you can see. So at the bottom, these pieces are slit. And at the top, we've got that. All right. I'm going to put this aside. And for this one, I am going to go across from the second score line from the top. And then here I'm going to go at a slight bevel. And then here I'm going to go on the score line. So a bevel here. And then go on the score line. And I get across here. And we're going to just cut these bottom corners off. Just right on the score line. We may have to trim a little. All right, for the pattern paper, you're going to cut two pieces, 7.25 by 5.25. You're going to cut two pieces, 5.25 by 1 3/8, and two pieces, 7.25 by 1 3/8. So this is the back. And this is the top. So I'm going to simply adhere some of this right onto the back. I like having this piece on the back. And then I'm going to have these on the sides. So again, I'm attaching it to the piece on the back on these side tabs. And then we'll take one of these and put these on the bottom. I guess you really don't need one for the bottom. All right, so now this piece, this part is the top. We're going to take this and put it on the top. And then this goes on the front. All right, so now this, I want to have an opening. So I'm going to trace around this one and cut it smaller. So I'm going to just eyeball it, center it, and on the inside of the die, I'm going to trace a line. And then I'm going to hand cut it. So either you could use an X-Acto. I mean, you could put it in the die machine, but you'd have to fold this up and do it. And I just figure it's just easier to do it this way. I have a piece of acetate that I'm going to put on the inside. And I've cut it about the same size, 7 1/4 by 5 1/4. I cut it a little shorter. And I'll glue that onto the inside. You could use double-sided tape. And then I already cut from a scrap with the 2 arches and outline. You don't need to do this, but it adds a nice finishing detail onto it. You know, I'm just going to simply put that on there. Alrighty, now this part has the paper, so this will go on the outside. So I'll add glue onto the bottom of the front and line this up. I'm going to fold in burnish now. All right, I'm going to fold this and add glue. And take these tabs fold them in. I'm going to add glue to the bottom here because the tabs will stick onto there. So we'll fold this in like that and then fold this up. And then using your bone folder, take the inside this one. This one should be glued down inside. And that will fold like that. So now we can take all of our cards and put them inside the box. And there we go. So actually, I did this backwards. This should have been the back piece, but it's okay. So I'll make a note so you can know to do that later. So as we go through, I'll let you know. And if you're watching this for the first time, hopefully you've seen that on the instructions. But there we go. There's a card box with cards. Stick some envelopes in there. That'll make a great gift for someone. I don't have a way to keep this down except for using maybe some washi tape or a little washi sticker. We take one of our little there, that'll hold it. And there we go. And that is what I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching and have a fabulous day.